Top 10 times actors threw their own movies under the bus. Hey, how's it going? I'm your host Bridget Shields and let's get straight into today's video. Number 10. Mark Wahlberg. M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening has been called one of the worst screw-ups of his career. But that obviously doesn't include The Last Airbender, which I'm sure fans of the original series would rather forget. So it's no surprise that Mark Wahlberg trashed this ridiculous movie even though he had the lead role. The film follows Elliot Moore, a Philadelphia high school teacher who tries to keep his wife safe during a global crisis in which plants spread a neurotoxin that causes humans to take their own lives. Maybe it was something to do with photosynthesis, who knows. Wahlberg himself admitted that he had no idea what was happening in The Happening. He just took the role because he was tired of playing tough guys. Quote, "The Happening, F it. It is what it is, effing trees, man. You can't blame me for not wanting to try to play a science teacher. At least I wasn't playing a cop or a crook." Shyamalan responded to the actor's criticism in 2019 and he really took the whole thing like a champ, saying, quote, "It's totally his call, however he wants to interpret it. At least he has a good attitude about it." Number 9. Rooney Mara. The horror genre definitely isn't for everyone, just ask Rooney Mara. The actress starred in a 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, which currently holds a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. So enough said there. It was a remake of the classic 80s horror movie of the same name, with the plot of the movie being centered around the infamous character Freddy Krueger. The actress basically said that it was something she didn't really want to do in the first place, and while speaking to Entertainment Weekly in 2011, she explained that it was just something she had to audition for, probably because her agent put her up for it, but unfortunately for her, she couldn't help but nail her audition. Quote, "You kind of learn to self-sabotage with things you don't want to get. Sometimes you don't want to get something, but you do a really good job and you get it anyway." That's kind of what happened with A Nightmare on Elm Street. In fact, Mara said that her experience working on A Nightmare on Elm Street was so bad that she wanted to stop acting forever. And because she felt like other projects were going to be similar, she wanted to pursue a different career entirely. I don't think that's even possible to trash a film more than that. Number 8. Dwayne Johnson. Movies based on video games are always hit or miss. If you're lucky, you'll get a Resident Evil. If not, you'll get 2016's Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender. So it could really go either way. It all comes down to whether or not the filmmakers understand the franchise, and if they have the ability to really pull it off. Dwayne Johnson's Doom was a major flop. To start off, the movie is about as 2000s as you can get, and not in a good way. The actor took to the stage at the Amway Arena in Orlando in 2008 and started dumping on the movie right away. Quote, "Did you ever see Doom? Well, you probably didn't, and it's okay because nobody else did either." It's pretty funny, but he wasn't wrong. Fans and critics alike thought the performances were awful, the action sequences were impossible to follow, and the violence was gratuitous. No wonder it sits at 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 7. Jennifer Aniston. If you haven't seen Leprechaun yet, I'll get you up to speed. The 1993 horror about a little Irish monster who just wants to get his pot of gold stars Jennifer Aniston a few years before she became super famous on Friends. Aniston has made it clear that she would rather forget this movie ever existed, and it's probably for good reason. We'll never know if she ever watched the movie when it was released, but while speaking with People magazine in 2019, she revealed that her ex-husband Justin Theroux forced her to sit through it on one particular night. "I watched it like 8 years ago with our mutual friend Justin Theroux. We were dating. It was one of those things when I tried to get that remote out of his hand and there was just no having it. He was like, 'No, this is happening.'" And she went on to claim that she couldn't sit through it and just kept walking in and out of the room because she was cringing so much. She also added that she recognizes that the film is a cult classic and that when she filmed it, she was still starting out as an actress and she couldn't believe she was actually starring in a movie. So it's nice to see that she was able to find the silver lining. Number 6. Anna Taylor-Joy. This one is really confusing because horror fans and critics everywhere collectively agree that 2015's The Witch is a stellar movie. It really jump-started everyone's love for elevated horror when it came out with its anxiety-inducing story of a 16th century family banished to the edges of polite society who fall prey to the devil. It was the total opposite of the kind of cheap, jump scare horror that we've been subjected to since the early 2000s. Anya Taylor-Joy has the lead role in the film, but according to her, the first time she watched it, she felt that not only would it come to nothing, but that it would actually destroy her career. Which is crazy because it literally did the opposite. While speaking with IndieWire in 2021, the actress explained that she saw The Witch a couple of hours before the audience at the Cannes Film Festival, and it sent her into a spiral. Quote, "I was devastated. I thought I'd never work again. I still get shivers thinking about it. It was just the worst feeling of, I have let people down that I love most in the world. I didn't do it right." She even said that she cried after watching it just from the stress. Fans will agree that she's definitely being too hard on herself, because since the film's release, her performance has received nothing but praise. Number 5. Halle Berry. The actress brought the femme fatale comic book superhero to life in 2004's Catwoman, but ever since then, she has been pretty open about how bad she thinks the movie really is. To give you some perspective, the movie earned a measly 9% on Rotten Tomatoes and was trashed by fans and critics alike. And in 2005, the movie earned her a Razzie Award for Worst Actress. And the best part is that Berry actually showed up to accept it and took the opportunity to dump on the film. Quote, "I want to thank Warner Brothers for casting me in this piece of god-awful movie. It was just what my career needed. I was at the top, now I'm at the bottom." The infamous speech was not only hilarious but actually earned her a lot of respect from fans, considering how many actresses would not be willing to make fun of themselves or call out a terrible movie that they've been in. She also said that she wanted to thank the writers, all 20 of them, which proved to everyone that she was not only witty but a really good sport about the whole thing, adding that it was what it was, but if she had the chance to do it again, she'd hope to make it better. Number 4. Channing Tatum. After being launched into fame from 2006's dance flick Step Up, Channing Tatum decided to take on a more action-packed role in 2009, and ended up snagging the lead role in the sci-fi military movie G.I. Joe: Rise of Cobra. This movie managed to rake in over $300 million at the box office and was extremely popular at the time, so you'd think Channing would be proud of it. But no, in fact the actor has been super vocal about how much he hates the film. In 2015, Channing told Howard Stern, quote, "I'll be honest, I effing hate that movie. I hate that movie, I was pushed into doing it." He went on to explain that after he filmed Coach Carter in 2005, Paramount signed him onto a 3-movie deal, which sounded like a dream at the time in his career, but the issue was that by the time the studio actually got around to filming G.I. Joe, 4 years later, Channing's Hollywood career had taken off, and he didn't want to make what he already knew would be a terrible movie, since at that time he could afford to be more selective with his projects. Number 3. Katherine Heigl. I think we all remember 2007's rom-com Knocked Up with Katherine Heigl and Seth Rogen. It was not just hilarious but very well received all round, scoring an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes and bringing in $219 million at the box office against a $25 million budget. But Katherine was less than thrilled about her participation in the movie, playing Allison, a rising journalist who gets knocked up after a drunk one-night stand with Ben, an irresponsible stoner. The actress has since called the film sexist, telling Vanity Fair in 2008 that she thought the movie, quote, "paints women as shrews, as humorless and uptight. It paints the men as lovable, goofy, fun-loving guys." She went on to say that she had a hard time with the film on some days because she said that her character was a B-word and a killjoy. But some have argued that that's exactly what makes the dynamic between the two lead characters work so well, because they need to be able to bounce off each other. Although to be fair, Katherine does seem to get typecast as the uptight, workaholic character an awful lot. Number 2. Shia LaBeouf. The Transformers franchise is known for its gratuitous action, crazy explosions, and bankable blockbuster hype. But there's a reason that its star Shia LaBeouf left the Michael Bay franchise after 3 films and later went on to denounce the movies altogether. For the first 3 installments, Shia played Sam Witwicky, the likable hero at the center of a battle between ancient alien robots that can disguise themselves as conventional vehicles. The movies were immensely popular worldwide, but that just wasn't enough for shy to look back on them in a positive light. In an interview with Esquire in 2018, the actor expressed his distaste for the franchise that was a significant part of his adolescence. Quote, "My hang-up with those films was that they were irrelevant. They felt dated as F." He went on to compare the Transformers to movies with Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese, where there is value in what they do. Quote, "It's very hard to keep doing what you're doing when you feel like it's the antithesis of your purpose on this planet." He's completely entitled to his opinion, but not every action movie has to have a deeper philosophical meaning. Sometimes it's just entertainment. Number 1. Robert Pattinson. This one is actually hilarious, because even though the Twilight movies have arguably made Robert Pattinson a star, the actor has been pretty honest about his feelings towards the movies and their source material. Long story short, he is not a fan. In a 2008 interview with E! News, Pattinson described Stephenie Meyer's book, which was basically the plot for the first movie, as a book that wasn't supposed to be published. Yes, he actually said that. And when asked about his character, the sparkly vampire Edward Cullen, the actor also had some issues there. In another interview that same year, this time for Empire magazine, Pattinson outright said he hated his character. Quote, "The more I read the script, the more I hated this guy, so that's how I've played him, as a manic depressive who hates himself. Plus, he's a 108-year-old virgin, so he's obviously got some issues there." That's really funny, but while Stephenie Meyer may not be too pleased with his comments, it's good to see that he's not afraid to make fun of something that he's worked on. Well, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe.